It was late at night. My husband was already asleep. I turned off the light in my bedroom, and the room was dimly lit by a soft nightlight located at the base of the wall where the light switch was located. I walked to my bed and got in gently, not to awaken my sleeping husband, who was laying on the left side of the bed, and closed my eyes. With eyes shut, I made the sign of the cross and said an Our Father and waited for the sleep to overtake me. A minute passed by, and as I lay there in bed, I felt the unmistakable feeling of being watched. It was that exact feeling. I opened my eyes and quickly scanned the room, but saw nobody. However, I could feel a presence, a stare, coming from above me on my right side, and instantly felt a pang of fear overcome me. I closed my eyes, attempting to ignore the fear and sensation of being watched. I started praying. I prayed another Our Father, followed by a Hail Mary. In that moment, something shifted. I remembered reading about St. Pope John Paul II, wounded and bleeding, turning instinctively to the Virgin Mary, the mother he had claimed as his own after losing his earthly one. His trust in her protection, his affection for her, had always stayed with me. Carrying that memory, I did something I had never done before. I reached out to Mary directly and asked for her intercession. I said, "Mary, hold me in your arms, keep me safe." A profound peace washed over me, so deep and complete that I struggled to put it into words. I had never known such joyful comfort, such stillness within myself. Every trace of fear and exhaustion slipped away. My body felt entirely free of pain, and what remained was a sensation I can only describe as floating. I wasn't levitating, I never left the bed. Yet it felt as though I were suspended in the air, held weightless and safe. Suddenly, something punched my pillow, about 5 times in rapid succession, each impact landing inches from my head. There was no ambiguity now. The sensation of being watched, of a presence in my room, was no longer a whisper of intuition. It was confirmed. Something was there, and it was not human. Fear came, yes, the instinctive recoil of a body sensing danger, but it did not consume me. In the same instant, something else overwhelmed it entirely. The tangible comfort and peace of our Blessed Mother's protection enfolded me. Her presence was not abstract or imagined. It was real, palpable, a maternal embrace so powerful that the fears simply dissolved. What remained was unlike anything I had ever experienced. A blissful ecstasy of peace so profound it carried me beyond myself. The presence of love so complete that nothing else mattered. I was held, I was protected. And in that protection, I found a peace that transcends all understanding. A small smile built across my face, the kind that could easily have become a wide grin. But I resisted the urge. Instead, I let myself drift along in that smile, content simply to be present to what was happening. I felt untouchable. But even in that safety, I sensed a danger of another kind, the temptation to let protection curdle into pride, to taunt the thing that had attacked me, because it could no longer reach me. The moment that thought arose, I recognized it for what it was, a whisper of ego, and I dismissed it. My focus shifted away from my invulnerability and back to the one who had wrapped me in it. It was never about being beyond harm. It was about who was protecting me. I had no concept of time, but it contained a lifetime. I had been lifted, and now I was being laid back down, gently, with care, as if heaven itself had said, "Rest now It's over. During all this, my husband slept soundly beside me, his back turned, entirely unaware. I lay on my back, eyes closed, but wide awake, suspended in something far beyond ordinary experience. I didn't dare open them. Not because I was afraid of the dark, but because I was afraid of losing two things at once. One, the blissful peace that had enveloped me, and two, the protection that stood between me and whatever had punched the pillow. To open my eyes felt like breaking a seal. So I stayed still, and I let her hold me. Then, as if on cue, my husband rolled over, still asleep, his sleeping face now turned toward me. Without any awareness of what was happening, inches away, he draped his arm across my chest in a slow, instinctive embrace. Finally breaking that seal, I slowly opened my eyes for a few seconds, saw my sleeping husband's face next to me, his left arm cuddling me, and I happily closed my eyes. It could have been coincidence. It wasn't. This was her, still working, still holding. She had stilled the attack, and now she was reaching through the most human, most tender instrument available, my own husband, to deliver a message no words could carry. You are not alone, and nothing here can touch you. You are safe. I felt doubly protected, and I drifted into the most peaceful sleep of my life. It was only afterward that the full understanding settled into me. Our Blessed Mother had been holding me the entire time. The evil presence in the room had never truly reached me, not because I was strong, but because I was covered. What I experienced was not simply comfort, it was grace, God's own love, alive and active, extended through Mary and made tangible in the darkness of my room. That was a turning point. Not just in that night, but in everything. Something shifted after that night. Prayers stopped being an afterthought and became a need. Faith stopped being background noise and became the foreground of everything. Devotion stopped being occasional and became intentional. My husband began praying the rosary. Then he began attending Mass every Sunday, faithfully, consistently, without being asked. And then, one by one, the children and I began joining him. What had started as his quiet renewal became a family's homecoming. I enrolled the children in CCD, and just like that, what the enemy had intended as an intrusion became the very moment our family's faith took root. That night did not just change me, it changed all of us. What you just heard is not a story about fear. It's a story about refuge. When the soul is threatened, whether by confusion, temptation, darkness, or despair, God does not leave his children defenseless. He gives us a mother, not as a replacement for Christ, but as the one who always leads us back to him. This testimony echoes something the Church has known for centuries. When Mary is invoked with humility and trust, she does not delay. She intercedes, she shelters, she protects, not by her own power, but by the grace God entrusted to her as Mother of the Church. That is why the saints ran to her. That is why St. Pope John II, wounded and bleeding, entrusted his life to her arms. That is why St. Louis de Montfort called devotion to Mary the weapon of salvation. Not because she replaces Christ, but because she leads us to Christ. And notice what followed this encounter. Not emotionalism, not obsession, but conversion. Prayer returned, Mass returned, confession returned, a more unified family returned. The sacraments returned. That is how you discern the hand of God. Grace always restores order. It always draws us deeper into the church. It always leads to surrender. Mary does not keep souls for herself. She raises them, guards them, and then, with joy, places them into the arms of her Son. If this testimony stirred something in you, ask yourself this: where have I been resisting grace? Where have I been merely surviving spiritually instead of surrendering to God? You do not need extraordinary experiences to begin again. You need humility. You need the sacraments. You need prayer. And sometimes simply this: Mary, hold me. Lead me to Jesus. This is the heart of what we offer here. Not spectacle, not fear, but return. Return to Christ. Return to the church. Return to the path of holiness you were made for. May Our Lady cover you in her mantle, and may her Son bring to completion the work he has begun in you. Stay faithful, stay watchful, stay close to the sacraments, and remember this: you are not alone. God bless.